Hi everyone, you're welcome to today's tutorial. So in today's tutorial we'll be looking at Photoshop. Photoshop is a very popular software. It's a widely used software known for its photo editing ability, graphics design and digital art. So we'll do a quick introduction to Photoshop today. I hope by the end of the tutorial you would have learned a lot. So kindly like, kindly subscribe if you find this channel useful. Thank you. Let's get on with the tutorial. Here we are in Photoshop. At the upper parts of the software, we have what we call the menu bar. So in this menu bar, we have different menu options: file, edit, image, layer. Like under the file, for example, you can create new documents, you can save a copy, save as, export, depending on what you want to do. So below the menu bar, we have what we call the option bar. So this option bar displays various options depending on the tool you select. So like for example, if you click on this particular tool, you can see these options. If you click on this, so depending on the tool you're working on that particular moment, you will see the option, you see options display here, and you can quickly access settings. Below this option bar, we have what we call the document bar. So this document bar, we can see various tabs. We can see various tabs. So here I have just two tabs open. If I move here, I have another tab. I have another tab of them, another document I want to work on here. You can bring in as much file as you want, and you have various tabs display here in the document bar. So at this left hand side, we have what we call the toolbar. So this toolbar, you have access to various tools that you find useful when working in Photoshop. Below it, we have what we call the status bar. We have the option to zoom into a canvas or zoom out. Like for example, if I want to make it bigger, I can do that. And also, let's take it back. And also we can see this part also displaying the size of the file, the size of the documents we are working on. We also have this slider. With this slider here, you can adjust and move your canvas. You move your canvas to your preferred position. At this right hand side, we have what we call the panel. So we have various panel options: layer, channel, gradient. If there's a particular panel you want to work with and you don't have it here, you just come to the windows. You come to the window. So under the window, you can get the panel you're working. You can get the panel you want to work with. Like for example, if I want the paragraph panel, so now I have the paragraph here. Maybe I want the gradient. Okay, I have the gradient here. Let's look for something else. So the painting, maybe parts. Okay. Layers. So depending on the panel you're looking for, you can actually come to the window and get it. And also I can customize this background if I want to. So you can play around. I can customize the workspace to your preferred. You can customize the workspace to your preferred choice. Your preferred option. So let's drag this back. Okay, now so let's come to the file and let's try to create something new. So let's work. Okay, let's work with this thumbnail size. Let's name this. Okay, so by default you get a white background, but you actually have the option to change the background, but I'm not so particular about that, so I leave it white. And let's create. So here we have a new document now with this size. So now by default the background will be locked, but you can actually unlock it and move it with the move tool. If you move it, you can see the background. We have the transparent background behind that. So this background is just like that layer, that sheet layer where you can start writing or dropping things on. So mostly for me, I leave the background the way it is. And let's start with the shape tool. So in this shape tool, we have various options. When you move close to any tool, you can see the software will display the name of the tool, and you can also see a very short video you can see a short video of how to use the tool. So if your laptop is connected to the internet, you have the option to click on the video and watch how to use that particular tool. So that's a very good way for you to actually learn how to use this tool here in Photoshop. So now let's come to the shape tool. So under this, we have various shapes. We have rectangle tool, ellipse tool, triangle. So I want to work with the triangle. The rectangle. So the way I do when I create a document, I'll just with the rectangle tool, I try to draw a rectangle that will cover the canvas I'm working on. So that will now be my own background. So that's how I prefer to work when I'm working with documents, because mostly it depends. If you're working with a white background to make design, fine, you can just work on the background directly, but mostly for me, I just prefer to create my own background, and so that I can work with my background and do whatever I want to do with it. So here we have the rectangle. So we is white in color. I can choose to change the color here in the appearance panel. Okay, so I can choose to change the color, but I want it gradient, so I have the gradient option. I can actually, if I click on this with showing this red line, it means I don't want any color. So once I click that, now it is the background color that is showing, but I want it gradient, so I'm going to click on the gradient option. So now clicking on the gradient, you can see I have it in white and black. So with this white and black, I don't want a black, of course. I want to change the color. So you click here. I want purple and pink. So let's look for a purple color. Let's just pick something. Okay. And here pink. If you notice, let's click out. If you notice, can you see? You can see these white lines showing. That's to let you know that this particular shape is not covering the canvas very well. So I just, with the move tool, I drag it to expand it. So now, okay, still showing up there. Let's adjust it up there too. If you see it's going outside the canvas, you don't need to worry so much about it. By the time you export your work, or anything outside the canvas won't show. So it's okay now. So with this gradient option, if now I have the pink at the upper part, if I want the pink to be below, I can actually switch that, and I will have that. You can also make your gradient reflected, diamond, depending on what you want, but I like it linear. Okay, maybe for example, I want the this purple to be at this left hand side. Okay, so with the angle option here, I can adjust that and move it to my preferred position. So I think I like it this way. It's okay this way. So that's it with shape 2. Okay, let me just do something again with the shape 2. So with the move 2, like I said earlier, okay, for the move 2, you can actually use it to move things around. You can also, if for example, if I want this rectangle to have a round or curved edge, I can use the move 2 to achieve that as well. And also I can also use the move 2 to rotate. So I want to show you what you can use the move 2 for. Okay, so let's just delete this. Okay, so here we have the image. I want to bring this image in here to this document we're working with. So this image, okay, let's increase the brightness. So if you go to this menu option, under the image, you can actually adjust the brightness of your image if you want to. Maybe so you can, if you want to do a quick adjustment on image, but this tutorial I'm not focusing on photo editing, So I just want to show you the option so you can quickly adjust your image to whatever you want. But that's not what's okay. And also let me use this to also show you what you can use the spot healing brush to do. Let's zoom in into let me duplicate this image first. So to duplicate layer in Photoshop, just use Command J for Apple and Control J for Windows. Okay, so here, let's zoom in. Okay, let me make it a bit bigger. So look at this spot healing brush tool. So with this spot healing brush tool, it can help you remove blemish in your picture, or maybe there's this particular spot or things like that you want to remove in your image. So here we have, okay, this, let's remove this, this. So can you see as I'm clicking on this, is removing it. So it's actually a very useful tool for editing images in Photoshop. Okay, so that's that. Let's take this back to 60. So now I want to bring this image to this document. The way I can do that is I can copy and paste. Also, I can also drag and drop. So okay, so also when you're working with image in Photoshop, you should take notes. Whenever you're working with image, try to convert it to smart objects, because in the process of working with images in design, when you start zooming in, zooming out, things like that, you may end up with a blurry image. So it's better you convert your image to smart objects. But now, I don't like this background. This is not how I want the image to be. So let's delete this. And let's come back here to the image. So let's see what the quick selection tool and object selection tool can do. So using the quick selection tool, click on addition. Let me increase the size. So with the quick selection tool, I can select that particular area in a photo that I want. So you can move this and just select that particular layer, particular area rather. So now I'm noticing that it's picking some parts that I don't like. So you click on the subtract option. Let's reduce the size and now click. I'm sorry, already clicking some parts. Okay, you can see I have missed this. Okay, so let's add this back. It's part of the hair. So you just have to take your time when using the quick selection to zoom into your image well and select every part you want selected. Okay, this skip. Alright, so let's just layer cut. So now this is what we have. Can you see the edges is not really turning out well? So now I really don't like the way this edge is looking, but I'm just using it to show you what the quick selection tool can do. Now let's try the object selection tool. How do you delete layer? Just click on the layer, press delete on the keyboard, or there's also a delete option here you can use to delete. Now I want to duplicate this layer again, Command J or Control J in Windows. So now let's use the object selection tool. I prefer using the object selection tool mostly because I find it over time for me, it gives this neater neater shape when cutting image rather than using the quick selection tool. So with this, in case there's any part you notice the object selection tool didn't select, with the quick selection tool you can quickly grab that as well and pick any layer, any part that you notice is not selected. So let's just so now can we see what we have here is way neater compared to what the quick selection tool did. So let's just work with this. Let's bring this here. So like I said earlier, whenever I'm working with image, before I start zooming in and out, I convert to smart object quickly. Then I start working because I don't want to end up with blurry image in the course of enlarging and reducing. So okay, let's do this way. So let's work on the tool and the text type 2. So under this type 2, we have the horizontal type 2. We have the horizontal type 2 and the vertical type 2. So these are the two we'll just be looking at. So this horizontal type 2, let's type Photoshop 2. Okay, so okay, and let me show you what the vertical type 2 can do. So it will just type vertically. Just trying to show you that. Okay. Now I have the option under the character panel to expand, increase the size of my text to wherever I want. And in case you want to have more spacing or reduce the space between the text, you can also do that. You have the option to do that. If you want to change color, you can. Do you want to make it, arrange it centralized? So I prefer this. I want to reduce the space between the first text and the second text. I also have I can also do that here. Okay, let me reduce this back to 0. Okay, so here, when I'm working with design, I like working with rulers. I like working with ruler guide depending on what I'm working on. So to get the ruler, you come to view in the menu bar and get ruler. So with this ruler, I can move. So I want every text to start from here. So it's like a guide, and alignment is actually one important principle or element when you're doing graphics design. So just want everything to be there. I don't want it to go outside of this line. So if you're working with text, shape, and many things, we'll still cover principle of graphics design later, but not in this tutorial. So okay, I just wanted something this big. So now look at this picture, for example. I don't like the way this edge is showing. I want the edge to blend with the background. So how can I do that? Okay. There are different ways you can do that, but I would like to use mask. Okay, so come to this image layer, click on the layer mask icon. So I have a mask here now. I now come to the gradient tool here in the toolbar. So now with the gradient tool, I can now blend. So you just adjust it. So I think it's okay. This okay. Yeah, can you see now that we are not seeing that sharp edge again? So also, okay, let's explore blend option. Okay, right click, blend options. So with this blend option, you have access to various things. Like this is so huge, like you can do a lot. But let's say for this picture, for example, I want to drop a shadow. I want to drop this shadow. Okay, so I have the shadow option. Let's click on the shadow. So you can see there's a shadow, and you can adjust it. Do you want it black, or what color will you like? Opacity, do you want it very obvious, or you just want it a little? You can play around and do what you want to do, and just be creative. Yes, so I prefer it this way. Okay, let's try to see. You can increase the distance, you can spread it, you can increase the size. So depending on what you want, you can play around, be creative, and just do what you want to do, and make sure what you're doing at the end of the day is nice. So okay, let's just leave this like this. Okay, now let's with the blending option too, let's try to, I want to add a stroke to this text. If you check this character panel, you will see you don't have the option to add a stroke to a text. So another way you can do that is using the blend option. So coming to this blend option, I come to click on stroke. So immediately you can see we have a stroke around it. So if you click on the stroke, you can change the color. Do you want it black? Do you want it whichever color? You can change the color. You can increase the stroke, increase the size of the stroke, or reduce it. Maybe we should make it black. Okay, and even the opacity, you can increase or reduce the opacity of the stroke depending on what you want. Okay. So, all right. Okay, now let me show you this part selection too. Okay, like for example, if I'm working on a particular design and I want this image to come in this in a round shape, so how I can do that is by coming here, click on the shape tool. You see that it's showing shape. It's important to change it to parts, because if you just put, okay, I want a round shape ellipse tool. So if you just try to work on the shape like this, you won't get what you're trying to get. So you have to work with parts. So this is a, okay. You may need to hold the shift to get the right proportion when you're working with the ellipse. So now that's this part. With this part tool, we can adjust the parts, put it in the preferred position that you want to work with. Like if I use the move tool, you won't be able to do that. With the move tool, you can't move the parts. But with the part selection tool here, you can adjust, you can move the parts to your preferred option. So let's say this. Now click on the layer, come to layer, vector mask, current parts, and now we have it. So okay, so with this now you have the round image. You can move it to where you want to move it to and work on it. Okay, so that is just a quick tutorial. We are not going fully into all the tools for now. We have here also the crop tool. So just crop tool, with the crop tool you can actually adjust, and just you have idea of what the crop tool is already. So you just crop, adjust it to the area you want, select, and you have your image document or whatever you're working on cropped. Okay, eyedropper tool, clone stamp tool. There are many useful tools you can find there when you're working in Photoshop. So this is just a quick intro to Photoshop. So I hope that you've learned some things in this tutorial. So kindly like, kindly subscribe, kindly share. Thank you. See you in the next tutorial.